Hello, my name is Tom Cosm, and I have a hobby for finding things in nature and converting them into something you can hear. I look for patterns. It could be an insect running around on the ground, or it could be a cloud in the sky. It doesn't matter, as long as there's something I can track and get data from. I like trying to turn it into music, or something that resembles music. So the cryptocurrency world is a real good goldmine for this, and this video today I'm going to be focusing on turning the Steem currency into sound, and that's actually what you're listening to now. All the notes, all the pitches, all the characteristics of the sound are being generated by a live feed of the Steem currency as it is currently being traded. Now the way I'm going to do this is by using two pieces of software, Ableton Live and Max for Live. Ableton Live is for writing music and performing music, and Max for Live is more of an under-the-hood modular type system where you can make your own tools to do things and tell Ableton how to act. The reason I'm using the Steem coin is the whole blockchain and the concept behind it. It's all about rewarding content creators. So if you create something cool, other people in the community can go, hey, that's really awesome, and then you get rewarded. And that sounds really appropriate for a coin to track in this video example. There's also some really cool platforms that are based on Steem, for example Steemit, which is a social media website, dTube, which is a video streaming service, and dsound, which is a, hey, that's my friend Steve. Good one, Steve. And dsound, which is an audio streaming service as well. So I'll be uploading these to dTube and dsound and making a post on Steemit as well. So back to Ableton, how are we actually doing this? Well, what I'm first going to do is delete the synthesizer completely, turn everything off, and just build the sound from scratch. Because I know some of you might not be too familiar with synthesis. I'm just going to cover some of the basics. I'm going to be using a wavetable synthesizer, and there's different types of synthesis, but they all have something in common, and that's that they use an oscillator to generate the core sound, the foundation of the sound, and everything else kind of is based on top of that, but they all have an oscillator. An oscillator takes a particular shape and repeats it over and over and over really fast. It could be hundreds of times, it could be thousands of times per second. The rate that it repeats itself is called hertz or frequency. So the faster it goes, the higher the pitch, the lower it goes, the slower it goes, the lower the pitch. The actual shape itself determines the characteristic of the sound. So if I just play a note for you now, you'll see we're getting a nice smooth sine wave. You can see it down here, it says oscillator 1, and here's our sine wave. And what's actually happening is this is oscillating so fast that it's pushing and pulling the speaker or your headphones in this particular shape. That's disturbing the air particles next to it in the same shape, and that goes all the way to your eardrum, and your eardrum starts vibrating at this particular shape, and that's what we can distinguish as a nice smooth sine wave. No sharp edges. It's a very nice smooth sound, but as we move through the wavetable here, you'll see we get a triangle, we get a saw, and we get a square or a pulse, which is much harsher. So a wavetable synthesizer allows you to cycle through different wave shapes and morph between them, which is really neat because if I blow this up big, we don't just have to use the basics, we can choose really complex ones. So here's a bunch of complex wavetables here. Let's pick this one, dubstep organ, and let's cycle through the wave now, the wavetable. You can see it has a lot more texture and a lot more character to it. If I was to add the reverb and give it heaps of space, you get a really cool drone type sound. Let's even bring it down a couple of octaves. Space music, alright. Now we have a second oscillator, I'm going to turn that on, that'll mix in with oscillator 1. Again, we're going to choose a complex waveform, and we'll just cycle through them again. I'm just going to visually look for one that looks cool. That one there looked good. Void. So you can see just by cycling with these two parameters we can get really expressive sounds. Now ultimately I want to control these parameters with the live feed of the Steem currency, but just for now what I'm going to do is use this LFO1, which stands for low frequency oscillator, to slightly modulate those two parameters, the wavetable slider for 1 and 2. And the way I do that is with the modulation matrix down here. So I'm going to select the slider, I'm going to say I want LFO1 to control oscillator 1's position. I'm just going to turn the read trigger off and play a note. And you'll now see that this is moving up and down in time with LFO1. So a low frequency oscillator produces an oscillation much like these oscillators, but it doesn't create audio. It creates a signal that you can attach to something else. And this rate is currently set at 1 Hertz, so 1 cycle per second. So you can see this is moving up and down every second. But that's too fast. I want to move this down much slower, somewhere around 16, and you can see it really slowly evolving. What I can do is select the slider for oscillator 2 here, and I can put this into the negatives. So now the oscillator 2 is doing the complete opposite of oscillator 1. We can get a little bit more fancy here. I'm going to select the rate or the speed of LFO1, and I'm actually going to control that with LFO2 just a little bit, and we'll bring LFO2 rate down. So now as this moves, it controls the speed in which this oscillates, which in turn controls the wavetable slider moving and modulating. So it's really slow at the moment, and now it speeds up a bit. And then it's going to slow down again. Very cool. I'm just going to bring this down even more because I don't want this to change the sound too much, as we're going to be using the coin for this. Excellent. Now what I want to do is find 6 parameters within the synthesizer that are really good at shaping and changing the sound, because we get 7 parameters out of the live feed from the Steem coin. One of those is going to control the pitch of the notes, and the other 6 are going to control the timbre of the characteristics of the sound. So I'm going to group this instrument into an instrument rack, which gives us these 8 macro knobs. And these macro knobs mean we can assign anything from within the synthesizer to those knobs. So I'm going to do that right now and just assign the obvious wavetable slider to macro 1 and the wavetable slider of the second oscillator to number 2. So now these knobs correspond to those 2 particular parameters. Very good. Now the other 4 that I want to use, this wavetable has a really interesting warping mode. So if I choose a modern here and move the warp factor, you'll see it moves the wave all the way to the right, and the positive it moves it to the left. If I bring the fold up, it actually folds in on itself, so it creates much more complex wave shapes just by changing these 2 parameters. So what I'm going to do is go ahead for oscillator 1 and map the warp and the fold, and do the same for oscillator 2, the warp and the fold. I'm also just going to open up my assignments here and make sure that we don't go into the negatives value. So I'm just going to choose 0 here and 0 here. Now we can go out of mapping mode. The other thing I'm going to do is turn it into monophonic mode. So that means it's only ever going to play one note at the same time, which allows us to set a glide amount, which is kind of moves from one note to the other very smoothly. Rather than kind of abruptly playing a new note, it's going to slide up and slide down to the next notes. So, like that. So we get that really interesting pitch shift. And let's turn the echo back on as well. Very good. So we have our 6 parameters and we have our cool sound to play with. So let's go ahead and actually turn on the Max for Live device and some other things and get going. So first thing I need to do is just quickly reinitialize this because I turned it off. I'll go through all this from the top down in a second, and let's just give it a fake note to start with. Very good. So again, Max for Live is it's an environment for people who want to build something that their application currently doesn't do natively. So Ableton Live, it talks to Ableton Live. You can build your own utilities, tools, synthesizers. It's a really complicated, awesome way to get results that you couldn't otherwise get from the software. So what I've done here is I've built this, I've already pre-built this. I did try and do the video where I built it from scratch, but it would be about a 40-minute video. I'm just going to run through this really quickly. So Max for Live has a whole bunch of objects, and each object has an inlet and an outlet, and depending on what you feed into the object and what the object does, it'll output something different. So starting from the very top, we have a simple toggle button. This just turns something on and off. It turns on and off a metro, and a metro is a simple timer in milliseconds. So what this does is every 2 seconds when this is on, it sends out a bang. Now a bang is a kind of a push or a shove. It says do something or execute something, and that bang is connected to this message box which has a message in it which says download a Bitrix URL and then a matrix. So if I go back into my browser here and go over here, you'll see that Bittrex has a public API, and what we currently have is it's set for Steem. So I'm just going to refresh the page, and you'll see this is what gets spit out as the data. So that's really useful for us. We can get that into Max for Live, and then we can kind of go through it and sort it all out into categories and take things like the volume, the last current price, the bass volume, and all that kind of thing. So back to Max for Live. Over here I've got a combine thing. This is just in case I want to change the currency. Let's say I want it to be Bitcoin to Ethereum, or we could do US dollars to Bitcoin, but I'm going to keep it on Bitcoin to Steem. This just combines everything together and turns it into the correct URL that we want to download. This gets fed into this object, which downloads the information. This converts it to a symbol, and then it spits it, it spits it out here into this message box. So this is what we were looking at on the website. We've now got the data in Max for Live, and it's updating every 2 seconds for us. I then feed this into a dictionary because it's in a JSON format, and then I iterate the output. So every single thing in that list gets iterated and gets sent out really quickly into this route object. The route object looks for the bid, the ask, the last, the volume, the base volume, the open buy orders, and the open sell orders, and then it sends them to various different places. So it's basically taking the signal and splitting it into different types of values that we can use all separately. Now the bid, ask, and last, of course, are all in very low decimal places, so I've times them all by 100 million to get nice whole numbers, because I wanted to work with all whole numbers because it's much easier for me. So these would probably be, what are they? Let's have a quick look. So the last is 0.00036,850, but because I've times it by 100 million, instead we get 36,872, and that's just easier to work with. So just underneath that, what I have are these objects called change. The change object only lets through a value if it's changed from its previous value. So that just means every 2 seconds that this updates, it's not just going to continuously send over the same value over and over and over, because that's going to be slightly annoying, and I don't want that. I only want it to change. I only want it to spit out data when it actually changes something. Just below that I have counter. These are just for my references, so every time that this changes it adds 1 to one of these counters, and this is just good for me to see how the current market is, and I can tell which one is changing the most, and at the moment you can tell it is set on the bid price, so that's really good. So I'm going to be using the bid price, or I am using the bid price to control the actual pitch of the notes. So the bid price is getting sent out to this object here, which splits that number into 3 different ways. The first way, it splits to here just so we can see it, so we just know what it is. And this one here splits it into a thing called a cycle. The cycle cycles through each time it receives a new value and outputs through the next output. So every new value, it will go out a new output. This gets sent into an object called a pack, and the pack has 10 separate inputs, and anytime one of these inputs is updated, it outputs a list that looks like this. So what we currently have here is a list of the last 10 bid price changes. The pack is then sent to a ZL sort, and then again this goes into a list, but this time the list is actually sorted from the lowest to the highest. So we have 36613 here, and we have 36843 at the top, and everything in between is in the middle of those two. And the reason I do that is if I connect that to an unjoined 10, it will split the list into 10 different outputs, and if we take the first output and the last output, we know that that is the current minimum value and this is the current maximum value. And that's really handy to have, because when the prices come in and it updates, we can tell it to change the pitch of the music based on the current scale of things, based on the last 10 results, you know, so just so that it's kind of relevant to the last buy price. So I've got this fed down into a scale object. A scale object takes a number and then it scales it based on 2 input parameters, a minimum and a maximum, and 2 output parameters, a low output and a maximum output. So by sending the lowest of this list into the low input value and the highest of the list into the high input value, it knows that the number that currently is being received is going to be scaled according to these two, and then you can set the output amount as well. I have minimum 20 and maximum 65. So in MIDI, or which is a language used for conveying notes in electronic music, 20 is quite low. That's why we're getting quite a lot of low sounds, and 65 is kind of a medium note. I did have it up around 100, but the notes were really high and annoying, and I quite like it low and grunty like this. So that's all good. Then once that note has been scaled to something between 20 and 25, it goes into an append object which adds 10,000 at the end. That's because I want 10,000 milliseconds after it, because it gets fed into a line object which takes the new number plus 10,000, and that will change it from what the last number was to the current number over a period of 10 seconds and slowly drift and fade. It's not doing it right now. If we actually look at the market here, you'll see it's pretty flat with the bids. We need to wait for the bid price to kind of update in order for us to get a new pitch, or we can artificially do it just for the sake of science. So I'm just going to feed it an artificial number for now. So you can see this line object has taken the 10,000 and is now slowly morphing up to 40. And again, we've just got a change object, and then this little concoction of objects here just plays a note. So we've got a note out object. What it does is it makes sure that it stops playing the last note and triggers the next note. Very good. So that's how the notes are actually generated, and they get spit out of the object, which is here, and they get sent out as MIDI data. They get sent through a MIDI effect rack, which I currently have set up with a note length. So this just makes sure that the note is a really long note, and then that gets sent to the synthesizer that we have over here. You'll also notice within this patch though, I'm using all the other things, the ask, last, volume, base volume, buy orders, and sell orders. They're all getting sent to their own system like this. It's just not commented. This one is basically the same as all of these 6 over here. I just haven't put the comments in or made it look nice. So these are doing all the exact same things. So whenever there's a change in the volume or how many sell orders there are, it will update based on a scale object. And I've actually got this set to 0 to 127. We're not actually specifying a minimum and a maximum number like we do with the pitch, because 0 to 127 is in fact the range of these macro knobs. This would be 0, that would be 127. So as all those prices are updated, it will move these knobs and gradually slide them around. So yeah, that's pretty much it. These come out here, they go to a live object. The live object is basically attached to one of those 6 macro knobs by defining a path. So this is a path to that particular device and what parameter that I want it to change, and then the output goes through here into a thing that says prepend set value, and that will change the actual thing within Ableton Live. So if we look over here, you can see that these are all moving by themselves. The synthesizer is moving by itself. We're not getting much of a pitch change at the moment because the bid number hasn't seems to change, but we did at the start of the video, so you can get a good idea of how it works. So that is the process that I go through to convert things and data into sound. I change it up every time. Sometimes I actually make it beat driven, or something that kind of sounds more melodic. This time I wanted to make a nice drone, because this is a smaller part of a grand scheme where I want to make a big bot that keeps track of all the coins that I'm currently holding and basically conducts an orchestra of sound. So I don't have to look at my computer, I can just sit there and listen, and if a coin starts doing something that I should really pay attention to, the sound will change in a particular way, and I can go, oh, I really need to check out Steem coin right now because the pitch is going up really fast, or the sound is changing really dramatically. So that's it in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, my name's Tom Cosm. Google my name if you're interested. I've done a lot of work around this area, but I've never put anything up on DTube before, so this is my first video. If you guys are interested, please leave a comment. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if you want me to go into more depth in the Max for Live stuff, I'm happy to make a much longer video covering the inner workings of that as well. And yeah, check out dsounds as well. I'll wait until the market's really crazy, and then I'll record a 3 or 4 minute excerpt of this and put it up there. Great, fantastic, thank you, and have a great day.